All right. Hey, everyone. Good evening for some of you and late afternoon or dinner time for some of you guys on the west side of the country. Let's see here. So we've got a couple of you who are joining us. I'll give you all just a few more minutes here, about 2 more minutes, and then we'll go ahead and get everybody rocking and rolling. Go look here. Okay, perfect. Looks as though we've got a few more folks that are rolling on in. Let's give them just a few more minutes here. Answer a quick question. All right, perfect. All right, so we have about 2 minutes in here, so we'll go ahead and get everybody started. Today's director session is going to be about securing board sponsors. As per usual, we do like to start it off with a nice little quote. One of the quotes that made sense for board sponsors and kind of the direction that we're going in with the board stamp policy and things like that, just kind of wanted to keep in mind this particular quote. It is a mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions. And that is by Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. So it kind of speaks to a little bit of what's going on this season. We have a lot of new updates, changes, a lot of stuff that we threw at everyone at the beginning of the season. So we're just making those adjustments, getting everything ready, and director sessions being one of the new items that we're also adding to the table for all of you. I really hope that you guys are also enjoying them as well. So again, we're doing securing board sponsors for this particular session. Now this one, it does have a lot of information. It is going to be a little lengthy, but I'm going to try to keep it within our 1 hour window. If you have any questions, please make sure that you're posting them, and then I'll get to them either once we get to a pause spot or towards the end during the questions and answers. So what are we going to cover in this session? ACL stamp board requirement, why board sponsorship matters, sponsorship opportunities for local businesses, customizable sponsorship packages, collaborative event sponsorship ideas, leveraging equipment and beverage sponsors, benefits for sponsors and directors, fostering community and inclusion, sponsor ROI and audience reach. I do have an Arizona example, Q&A, and next steps. So let's go ahead and dive on in. So I wanted to make sure that I did touch base on the board stamp. I know that that's conversations that are happening inside, outside, a little bit of everywhere with events, with directors, players. So just wanted to kind of touch up on that a little bit while we get started going into the stamp board requirement and going into the sponsorship. So I wanted to make sure that everything was kind of in place for everyone. So new standard for 2026. All ACL events will require boards stamped with the official ACL certification to ensure consistent quality and playing experience. This update aligns with ACL's commitment to enhancing the professionalism and standards across all ACL sanctioned events, easing transition and concerns. So current replacement trends, most directors replace their boards every season or every other season just to keep their own personal equipment in top condition. The shift to stamp boards aligns with the natural replacement timelines. So it does make it a little bit manageable for the adjustment for directors who may or may not need those stamp boards already. Early planning and sponsorship opportunities, which makes this particular director's session really, really resourceful, especially as we're moving into what it is that we're planning or what we want to do for the upcoming seasons. So using the upcoming requirement, this is a great opportunity to secure those board sponsors so you can provide that financial support for your new boards. Offer sponsors exclusive branding on new boards, create those long-term mutually beneficial partnerships. Benefits of the stamped boards, consistency across all events. Stamp boards ensure uniform play conditions, elevating the player's experience, and enhanced brand image as well. Standardized equipment reinforces the professionalism of ACL events, attracting both player and high-profile sponsors. So that's kind of a little bit of information, at least from myself, in terms of what that looks like. And this is kind of details that I do present out as well to future sponsors. Now, another thing that I know a couple of you are always asking, I'm on our directors page. I just want to also provide this to some of you. So if you want to take a screenshot, take a look at it, or if you also use the search bar in our directors group, you can just search in stamped boards and this will pop up. Now, the ones in bold are those essential board makers. These are the ones who are actively building the boards. And then some of the other ones get their boards created by one of these creators. So we have all the contact information here. So if any of you guys want to reach out to any of these board and bag makers and kind of go over if they have any director incentive plans, if they have any payment options, if they have any bulk deals, anything like that. A majority of these groups are doing some pretty cool collaborative efforts with directors. So first and foremost, let's define what a board sponsorship is. What is a board sponsorship? A board sponsorship does allow a sponsor to place their logo or branding on cornhole boards used in ACL events. Sponsors can typically gain some visibility on the boards for an entire season. They can do it for an event. It aligns with their brands, with the cornhole community, and it also expands their reach, maybe to an audience that they may or may not have had the opportunity to reach. Benefits for the sponsor: high visibility branding. So sponsor logos on boards capture attention during games, photos, live streams. In terms of photos, that's also inclusive of those podium pictures and things like that, are also a good visibility for their branding. Direct audience engagement, access to a passionate, engaged audience interested in community events and local businesses. Positive brand association tied to an exciting and family-friendly sport, reinforcing a positive community-focused image. Benefits for directors: financial support. Sponsorships help offset costs for event resources, upgrades, other needs, including the boards themselves. Enhanced event quality enables directors to provide high-quality branded equipment, boosting the event's professionalism. And long-term partnerships. So it is an opportunity to establish lasting relationships with the local business within your area, which leads to a lot of ongoing support and stronger ties within your community. So we're also building a little bit larger of a community by having all of these businesses kind of come in, help us out, in other organizations as well. So understanding sponsorship benefits. So what is a benefit for an event organizer? Again, just that financial support to cover the event costs, prizes and incentives for participants, enhanced event visibility and credibility. So these boards, if you're using them for event-specific items, you can sell the boards after the event. You're able to raffle them off, whatever it is that works for you, what it is that you're trying to do, the goal of that event, and what your agreement is with that particular sponsor. Benefits for the sponsors: again, direct brand exposure to a target audience, community engagement and positive brand association, and opportunities for future customer loyalty. So where do we find the sponsors? Identifying potential sponsors. There's a multitude of ways that you can do this. Local businesses are probably one of the biggest sponsors. Not only do they sponsor cornhole events, they're sponsoring little leagues, are sponsoring other events in the community, trunk or treats, things like that. So they're already looking for that marketing aspect, and we provide a pretty unique marketing aspect as cornhole groups. So local businesses can include restaurants, bars, breweries, sports stores, banks, landscape companies, insurance companies. There's a plethora of companies out there who are looking to find unique and integrative marketing strategies in order to get their brand out there. Cornhole equipment brands, so manufacturers or retailers of boards, bags, and scoreboards. Now, I wouldn't make this your primary focus. It is a viable option, but also, a lot of these, cornhole companies are being asked to sponsor events, to sponsor items, fundraisers, things like that. So that is a definite option, especially if you have that ongoing relationship or a good relationship and you help build that brand. That is one avenue that you can go. Beverage and food vendors. Again, breweries are great. They're usually pretty high and active when it comes to actually sponsoring boards, equipment, as well as funds for events. Distilleries are always a really good spot. Local pubs, food trucks, and caterers. What's awesome about food trucks is a lot of them do food truck roundups in a lot of communities. They're very popular, especially on the west side of the country. I'm not too familiar with the east side of the country, but on the west side of the country, you will find food truck roundups all over the place. Sometimes they do events. You can even say, hey, you know what? While they have the food trucks there, maybe I'll throw a couple of boards, show people some of the items, and you can add that additional exposure for those food trucks or for other businesses that you use to help, get sponsors for your boards. Additional options, local sports teams. Those are really, really good places to, take a look at. Fitness and wellness businesses, media partners, charitable organizations, tourism boards are very, very big. I would highly recommend going to a tourism board, Better Business Bureau, Chamber of Commerce's, and government entities. One of the really fun things that we've done is we've done fundraiser events, and we've had boards made for police versus fire, things like that. So you can also, get boards made, and, usually those end up getting sponsored out for those. And then you just have that agreement either saying, hey, we either, keep the boards, or you get them back, or they raffle them off, and then those funds then go back into the pot for whatever it is that they're fundraising for. So lots of really, really good options. Sponsorship approach and pitch deck essentials. Preparation. Now, we did go over the pitch deck in our social media and prep for events director session. So if you missed out on the session, go ahead and go back into that session. It is in our YouTube library, and that has kind of the examples of the pitch deck itself. So create a pitch deck that highlights the event, audience, demographics, and value of your partnership. Create an outreach email, letter, or ask for an in-person meeting with the owner or staff member who handles sponsorships and marketing. One of those things that I think gets lost in translation is having that in-person, one-on-one conversation and saying, hey, you know what? This is what we bring to the table. This is what we can offer. What's really cool about it is, let's say, for example, you go to a local car dealership. Hey, this is what we're doing. We have this event coming up. We have X amount of, sponsorships available for boards. We'll use the boards at the event or for the season. At the end of the season, you get them back, and they can use that for a customer appreciation gift. Or let's say you're having a regional event or maybe your state championships and say, hey, I need X amount of sets of boards. If you're there to sponsor 5 to 8 sets of boards, they'll be there for the event. After the event is complete, they can come pick them up, or I can drop them off. And they can also use those, for those efforts that they're doing for customer outreach. You can add a little logo of your own club on there. And not only are you also benefiting that actual car dealership, you're also providing something tangible for them to receive either at the end of the season, at the end of the event. It helps with their customer outreach. It helps you with your outreach. And it's a win-win situation, which in those terms, usually they continue, doing the same thing because ultimately they're purchasing an item, using it for marketing, and then it comes back to them sometimes, depending again on your agreement with that location. Key elements to put in your pitch. If it's specific for an event, make sure that you have an event overview, date, location, attendance estimates really, really helps. An audience profile, so demographics, community reach, what is your expected foot traffic for the event? Sponsorship benefits, where the logo is placed, social media exposure, direct engagement opportunities. You can also offer them an event for their employees as a team building or an appreciation event. Again, depending on what tier of sponsorship, what it is that you want to do, but even offering this type of an event for a sponsor's employees ends up bringing other players potentially to your future events, because there's some people who, didn't know what, some competitive cornhole is or didn't know about a local night. They can come in, you can network with them, they can bring some of their friends over, and it ends up being a really fun night. So here's an example of some sponsorship packages. We have a couple different levels of packages that you can offer. Gold package, which could be your potential top tier. So you could say, hey, for our gold package, we offer exclusive board branding, logo on all promotional materials, get featured in our social media mentions, and event-wide acknowledgement. Silver package, shared board sponsorship, logo on some marketing materials, and limited social media recognition. So for one set of boards, you can even have, upwards to 4 or 5 different sponsors on it, whatever works for you, what your goal is, and what it is that you're trying to achieve for that event, or to get new boards for yourself and your club. Bronze package, very basic logo placement on the boards, a single social media mention, and recognition at event announcements. Now you can also add in some additional like a la carte options, customizable options that allows sponsors to select add-ons based on their marketing goals. So maybe they want to receive, a set of boards or have a set of boards with their logo, but always offer some type of an a la carte section where it says, hey, do you want to be on our trophies? Would you like to have your name or name a regional event? Would you like to be a partner for state? Always offer additional opportunities to get their brand showcased. And sometimes, the sponsor that you would never guess would decide to add on additional items do. And then some, areas do have a marketing budget that they say, hey, you know what, that's going to benefit us, for multiple months or for an entire season or for the entire calendar year. Again, whatever works for your area, what your goals are, what you're trying to do, and that specific event that you're running. So an example of a sponsorship package for a single board sponsor is you can do an exclusive board sponsor. You can name it, gold, platinum, diamond, emerald, whatever the case is, whatever you want to name that sponsorship tier. A suggested starting point is $500 for just a standardized, here's one set of boards. They can get their sponsor logo that's prominently displayed on a dedicated cornhole board, acknowledgement throughout the event. So don't just say, hey, thanks, pick up the microphone, have some additional signage, do whatever it is that you can to acknowledge that particular sponsor. Social media shout outs, posted, a tagged mention, and also give them an option to maybe set up a booth, or if they have certain signage, or maybe they have, a box of pens, or maybe they have some items that they want to get given out. Maybe they have some business cards, whatever the case is, just offer a little bit of additional incentive for that. Secure sponsorship for each board to maximize event funding and brand variety. That's always a great goal to have. So if you receive, X amount of sponsor levels, this is a great kind of middle ground that seems to work across the board. So a $500 base value seems to be what works for a majority of directors or areas or events when they're looking for that lane sponsor. Another option that you have is just charge your price of the board if board security is what you need. So whatever it is that works for you. What benefits a sponsor? So ROI, return on investment. This is something that you're going to hear all the time. You probably hear it a lot between players, manufacturers, everyone. What is our ROI? What I like to do when a sponsor asks about, well, what's my return on investment? I like to break it down for the sponsor. So an example that I can give you is a local event. So local event reach. Now this example is going to be for Arizona. So let's say 3 to 6 local events weekly. Now that can be a combination of regular ACL events. It could have your fundraiser events. It could have anything, that your heart desires. So let's say at minimum, your average audience is at least 200 viewers weekly. Now, this particular example is because the boards live at a venue. So 200 viewers weekly, monthly reach, we'll say 200 times 4 weeks. That's 800 in-person views per month. Annual local impression, 800 times 12 months equals 9,600 in-person views annually. This is from cornhole fans, community members, players who are engaged with the sport. So always break it down to numbers, because a lot of these sponsors want to know, what are your numbers? What benefits do I get? You can say, hey, we're going to post up your board. You're going to have it at all these locations. We're going to have it at, maybe one local event a week. then maybe you're running other events. Maybe you have them at locations. Maybe you're going to some type of big community event that your community is having. Maybe you go to the farmers market and you bring a set of boards and bags just for some of those, folks who are there looking for something else to do. So introducing the game, what is your viewability? What's that viability for that particular sponsor? I've always found that breaking it down to numbers really, really shocks a lot of sponsors, but it also shocks, the, people that you're, trying to gain some level of sponsorship from. So if you can break it down, even if it's, minimal numbers, okay, well, maybe you only run once a week and then maybe you get, 20 to 40 at that location, but maybe you have your location at a bar or at a pub or, somewhere where there's a ton of foot traffic. So that doesn't mean that someone walking through isn't viewing that. So you can always use those numbers, always, always, always use numbers and give them some kind of an idea, because you could say, yeah, you're going to have the sport and we're going to have it for the season. And that's what's awesome. Break it down, give them a little bit more information so that it does make sense for them, because they do want to see those views in order for them to, make their return on investment worth it. Break it down for a state or potential regional boost. Example that I can give, Arizona State Cornhole Championships, let them know, hey, my event is, either, one of the largest events. Hey, our event generates between this many to this many attendees. Maybe it's 200 to 300, maybe it's 100 to 200. But you also have to consider that for that 1 to 200 players, they're also bringing, potentially a spouse, some kids, maybe a friend. So depending on, where you have your event, some of those venues can actually track what that foot traffic looks like, use that information as well. It's super helpful. Same thing with interstate events, maybe some type of a regional championships or super regional event. High profile events do add significant additional visibility, and it draws competitors and fans maybe from a neighboring state or, a city far away. Whatever the case is, it is helpful. Social media amplification. So again, post your event regularly. If you have live streams, add live stream games that attracts likes, shares, comments from, tons of people who maybe aren't attending the event itself, but that's still gaining some type of traction. It's still giving them visibility. It could honestly be a very basic, very simple setup. You could have your phone on live. You can go in, have somebody commentate. Maybe you can commentate. They have a lot of really cool deals that you can put your phone up, add in this little attachment with a little mini microphone, sit at your director's table with the mini microphone. And if you have the time to, you can commentate or give it to a player or, something, but it does help you. It helps the sponsors get a little bit more viewability because their board is the one that's going live. And you can switch that out, switch the live streams on different courts so that other sponsors also get that viewability, or keep it on a court one if that's your agreement. Whatever the case is, just giving them some type of additional view to an audience that they may or may not have already had the opportunity to target. Estimated monthly social reach. So depending on what your social media reach is, let's say you have 1,000 views per post, which generates a return on investment for sponsors through increased digital visibility. So they might not be receiving that particular investment in terms of the funding coming back, but they are reaching an audience that maybe someone who shared a post got that visibility to someone who actually needs that service or never heard of that location or that cafe. I can't tell you how many times I've watched a live feed or learned about some type of a business or company, or even learned that someone locally in our community owned a business because of a cornhole board sponsorship. Same thing, break it down for the sponsor, give them ROI examples, as much information as you can give to them, numbers, brand impressions. So in-person, local, state events, how many views are you getting? Is it 9,600 views at the local level? That's how much foot traffic you're getting in an entire year that they get to see. Are there thousands of people online over a year span? It might not be every event. Maybe it is every event. Maybe it's just, throughout the entire year, everyone has a different demographic that they work with. But you are still placing their brand in front of a diverse audience very consistently. Social media reach. Each event-related post could bring thousands of views and interactions, which helps expand their brand recognition far beyond that particular event. Community engagement. If you align your brand with community-focused, family-friendly events, it also strengthens your local connections and brand loyalty. So you might have this great event. Someone says, hey, I actually saw, your cafe at this venue or this location. I thought I would try you out. So things like that, keeping up with these small businesses, going to some of these events, even attending some of your local small business clubs or groups, or even attending your Chamber of Commerce, anything like that that kind of helps provide them some type of marketing is super helpful. Now, if social media is just something you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, it's not really something that I understand, or you just need to improve on it. We do have a social media director session that's also in the library. We are going to have another social media director session in the next, I think, month or so. But you can also, take a social media class, watch some videos, listen to podcasts. There's really, really good YouTube videos, podcasts, things out there that kind of give you some additional ways to expand that reach on social media. This is a little bit of a tidbit. Those of you who were in that social media live stream, have already watched that particular video, already saw this, but again, I want to bring it up again. Social media marketing. This is essentially a little tree. So your call to action, advertising, click-through rate, followers, creating a social media campaign, lead conversion, brand engagement, geolocation targeting, user engagement. So all of this kind of goes together with what you're offering. And you do offer a lot of these. Cornhole events are some of the best networking events that you can attend. And you get so many different folks from so many different demographics, and that's huge to provide to sponsors as well. All right. So networking and leveraging personal connections as well. Like I said earlier, cornhole events are very, very big when it comes to that networking aspect. You meet a ton of people with so many different backgrounds, lots of business owners or people who, maybe do something within their community or within, where they work, that do offer these types of events that they're looking for. This is the kind of stuff that they're looking for. They want to provide something to maybe their staff that gives some type of engagement, some type of fun for them to do. And that's where we can offer that by branding for them, as well as bringing them some type of an event. So encourage club members and players, if, maybe they know someone within their networks, maybe they know a business that's brand new, up and coming, and, you can also help them. They can help you, again, figuring out a plan that works. Tap into local business owners within the cornhole community. Hey, is this something that maybe you would want to do? Do you have a budget for it? What would it take? Or, what do you need in order to potentially make this work? Maybe it's, something where you say, hey, maybe we can work with you in, earning these type of boards, or, how can we help you? Maybe we'll bring a set of boards to your place of business, and maybe that encourages a couple of people, and maybe that brings them in, or maybe they can, bring a couple of folks into some events, and then that helps, generate some type of revenue or income. Just work with your local community. They're going to give you the ultimate best support. Shop local is a huge thing, at least in Arizona. We use it a lot, and it's huge. Majority of folks out here either own a business, or someone who owns a business, or where to shop local in Arizona. Highlight cornhole's appeal. It's a family-friendly, community-centered sport. It is growing in popularity for brands that are interested in grassroots marketing. So again, it's something that brings people together, something within the community. So it does still have that grassroots marketing feel, because you're actually talking to people. You're putting folks in an environment that allows them to talk, have conversations, and meet new people. And then a community sport for all stages of life with a lot of amazing socialization. All right, so customizing or finalizing your sponsorship agreement and making sure that you thank your sponsors. So tailor each proposal to the sponsor's brand goals. Clearly outline what they receive and how it aligns with their objectives. ask them, what is your goal? What do you want? What's your goal at the end of, this entire year? How can we help you, market your brand? Maybe there's something we're not thinking of. Maybe that sponsor has an idea that none of us have ever thought of, and it ends up, helping out. So I think it's a pretty cool way to look at it. Acknowledgement and retention. Send a personalized thank you note. Not so much, you can send a thank you Facebook message. Obviously, you want to tag them on social media, but even sending them, either mailing them a note, handing them a note if they end up coming to your event, provide something personalized that does come from you directly. Provide photos and feedback on sponsor impact, maintain communication for future partnerships. It's a really fun thing where if you have a specific event, so for example, we just recently had a local tournament. A sponsor said, hey, we're going to throw $500 guaranteed prize money into this event. Any entry fee money, we want that to go ahead and go towards board sponsorship. And we said, okay, that's a very interesting way to put it. We'll try it out. Players are happy to be guaranteed a $500 prize pool. We had it set if you win first place, this is the amount that each player receives. Second place, and then we did make it a swap that had a specific type of split that everybody knew ahead of time. We were able to get enough folks that showed up to the event to get the sponsor his set of boards, and then providing a group photo or a photo of everyone playing. And that was sent to him with a thank you. And he loved it. He thought it was awesome. He would like to get a few more sets of boards specific for our state event that we have coming up. And he'll have a banner as well, and then his set of boards. And then we're also, working with him at creating some type of event for his particular business, just for his employees and his staff, just to have a fun night out. So little things like that do help build it. It maintains your partnership ongoing. That isn't just, I want money, I want it for this event, or I want it for this particular thing, and then that's it. You want to continue that partnership at all times. All right. So building community with directors in your area. This usually impacts a lot of these state directors, maybe some of those regional directors with very large events. One of the things that is another option where if you're not able to get all the boards that you need, maybe for some of these events, or, maybe you have this huge event coming up and you only have so many boards, you've, tapped out on all of your sponsors for those, you're trying to make some, magic happen. Unified community events. So we strongly encourage directors at all skill and experience levels to just collaborate with each other, especially for larger events like state and interstate. Bringing directors together does foster community. It enhances event outreach. It creates opportunities for learning and mentorship. This is definitely a huge thing that I learned, especially out here is, our cornhole community is amazing. And I'm sure that's to say with every single state, every single area. Our state event, we're going back and forth, getting a couple of things, and we were able to, make it a really fun event. But a big part of that was reaching out to the regional directors. I had two of our regional directors who brought, some boards, at another regional director bring boards, at another community member bring boards. We made sure that a majority of the boards were the exact same. The handful that were a little bit different, those were designated for certain event types only. So you didn't have one tier playing on two different sets. But that was how we were able to get all the boards that we needed, get all the resources. I'm talking tablets, score towers. We had a Mod Podge of a couple of things out there. But what was phenomenal about that was being able to work with the directors in my community, in my state, and being able to provide them an opportunity to also give their sponsors a whole other venue, a whole other location that they weren't otherwise going to run. So it gave a lot of other eyes on some of their sponsors even. And that's a great tool. So leveraging shared resources, pooling resources together. Directors can provide an elevated experience without needing to invest on an extensive amount of personal stock. A board contribution incentive. The directors can bring their boards to larger events, allowing for a good range of playing surfaces, reducing the need, again, to have 30, 40 sets of your own boards. And it's just a great collaborative approach that encourages board sponsors to join because they know that they will get greater exposure. One of the good things is, if the boards are the same, or they at least come from the same resource or the same, type of, possibly the same board stamp, being able to work with your directors who are also in your area, because we want to share. We want to make sure that people know who they are. If someone is in Southern Arizona and they're traveling out to Flagstaff, I want them to know where to play. I want them to know that they have an opportunity to play. We have so many amazing clubs, so many amazing people. We want to showcase them. So I strongly, strongly encourage that, as much as possible, just working together really, really builds these events a lot bigger, and it makes it a lot more fun. And it's also really, really good for finding sponsors as well. Inclusive growth for all levels. So again, supporting directors from beginner to advanced, level directors or directors who've been in there for a while. Again, it just unifies the community. It emphasizes inclusion so that everyone does have a role in ACL's growth, because we all do. It strengthens the organization. It elevates events across all the regions, and it just helps us be able to come together as well. So this is also another option. I wanted to make sure that you had every individual type of option available, not just securing your own sponsors, but finding ways that, maybe you could work with directors in your area and say, hey, this is how many sponsors I have. Maybe I have 12 to 15 sets. You have 12 to 15 sets. Another one might have a few. They're all, either in the same, specs or from manufacturer, whatever the case may be. Bringing all of those together and showcasing each other is always something really fun to do. All right. Let's see. Yep, thank you note. Perfect. All right. So that brings us down to the questions and answers and some next steps. So if anyone needs any questions, clarifications, or maybe have some additional ideas, definitely drop them in the comments. Now, I do have a couple of items that are going to be loaded into our Director Resource Hub, which is going to be coming out pretty soon here. Our Kajabi Hub is already being very amazingly created by Todd. It looks fantastic. It's going to function really, really well. I'm super excited. The resources are going to look great. We're just trying to organize a couple of things to make it make sense for everybody. But we're excited for that to come out. In that resource, you are going to get a kind of a generic pitch deck to kind of take a look at, pull some ideas off of that. So an example of a pitch deck. You're also going to get a couple different examples of sponsorships, one for boards, one for events, and then also kind of a way to have those discussions, as well as an outreach letter that you can send to businesses, organizations, or whatever the case is. So we do have a lot of these there and available for you guys, and we'll have those ready to share with you guys hopefully pretty soon here once we get moved into that new area, which will be outside of our Facebook group. We are moving into Kajabi. For those of you who know what it is, it's another resource center that we use for communication. And so we'll eventually be moving in there, and everything looks really, really good. So I'm excited for you guys to see that. So action plan. Goal for all of you, first step, just begin identifying potential sponsors. One of the things that I've done is I've gone to the Better Business Bureau list of who are some active people who are in the Better Business Bureau, who's active in the Chamber of Commerce, and kind of, trying to send some pitches over to some of these businesses, areas, and things like that. I like to find events that are happening within the community, sending them again, here's a pitch deck, here's some information, here's what I can provide, but also making sure that as you look through these potential sponsors or board sponsors, make sure that you also understand what they're doing. So my outreach letter for a real estate agent will not look the same as it would for a landscape company, and it wouldn't look the same as it would for some type of insurance company. For example, for an insurance company, I might say, hey, do you, I wouldn't necessarily say, would you like to get these boards back at the end of the season and then give them as customer outreach? You could, but that's a much bigger pitch for someone in real estate, because they could say, hey, we're going to sell a house, but we're also going to give your family something for your family to do together. And that could be a set of boards and a set of bags, and that can be a part of their sponsorship. So either after so many events or for certain events, or even those larger, one-time off events, hey, sponsor this event, you can use it as a gift to, someone within your community. Same thing with the landscape company, maybe they don't have, maybe they're just doing a ton of one-off events, or sorry, not events, one-off clients, but they might have some that they have on a rotation. They might have, customers who've been with them for years, or they might want to do some type of a social media post that says, hey, this is our business. This is what we're doing. We want to, landscape your yard and do all these things for you guys. What better way than to potentially, win a set of boards? So everyone who schedules a service with us for this month can then win a set of boards, and then they're getting a ton of ROI. They're getting a ton of community outreach, and then they're also bringing cornhole to maybe a client person or someone who either has never played cornhole before, or who possibly enjoys it, but, maybe they're using, the plastic boards, or, something that they just, purchase for, like camping or something like that. But just, making sure that every single business that you're talking to or wanting to provide something, think outside of the box, think, what can I do? What is something? How does this serve them? How does this help them? And that's going to help you tenfold when it comes to securing a lot of these board sponsorships. So just remember that each individual type of business organization might not look the same. So just tailoring that pitch deck, set goals for securing sponsors to enhance an event. Write a goal. I want to get 5 sponsors this month, or 3 sponsors, or maybe it's just 1. Whatever your goal is, just write it down, put it on a mirror, whatever the case is, and just create some type of an action plan. And that should definitely help you. Whew. All right. So we made it through all of that. I do have a couple of you still on here. I don't see any questions or anything that came in. Again, all these resources are getting organized. They're going to be available for you guys to use. I hope this is helpful. I hope this gave some type of different ideas for you to use. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out. If you want to, maybe throw out some type of an outlandish idea and you want someone to kind of provide feedback, or whatever the case is, I'm definitely, available. Send me an email, send me a Facebook message. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. But this is going to be posted in our directors group, and is also on our YouTube library, so you can always take a look at it. Michael, thank you, Michael. So whatever the case is, we're here, we're available. I hope this helps. Any questions, or if you guys want to see that sample of the pitch deck maybe sooner rather than later, send me a message and I'll get that copy sent off to you before we go ahead and get everything squared away. All right, everyone. Thank you guys again. 45 minutes is pretty good. I'm proud of that. I hope you guys have a great day. If any of you guys are running an event this weekend, have fun, good luck, and enjoy the weekend. Bye, everyone.